This is Andrew Wicklund from Project Risk Consultants. I want to walk through the Primavera Risk Gantt chart view. This is going to be one of the longer modules that I do, and the reason is there's so many things that you can access through the Gantt chart view directly that makes it much quicker, much easier. So some of these options, you can get through the menu bars, you can get through shortcut icons or the navigation bars. But there's a lot where you never really have to leave the Gantt chart view. So the first thing we'll look at is adding and removing columns. Now in a previous module we went through how to do that through the format menu. But if you double click on the column header, the column add and delete comes up. So these columns all exist within the product. This is just showing, which items do I want to actually be viewable at this point. So you've got two options, group fields and alphabetic fields. They have all the same things. So say for example the dates field, I see actual finish. If I go to alphabetic fields, I can see actual finish. If I want to add that field, I click to the right. If I want to remove a field, I click to the left. So I can add the actual start and the actual finish. I can change the order up and down. I do have the right column and the left column. The left column, of course, is to the left of the Gantt chart. The right column is to the right of the Gantt chart. If you hit cancel, it won't save any of your changes. If I click OK, it's going to save all my new fields that I've added. Also, you've got some other options. You can change some of the headings and the names, also how it aligns the text. But the main thing in this screen is you're just adding columns to and from your viewable screen. So now you can see I'm on this separator line too. I can move this to the left or to the right. If I double click it, it'll send it to the end of a column. So now I've got my actual start and my actual finish up. Now you'll notice when I click on a column, it copies that whole column in. So if I were to hit Control C, go to Microsoft Excel, it actually takes and I can copy and paste my data back and forth. So whether it's from the edit menu to copy or just hitting Control C, I can take data back and forth from Excel real quickly, real easily. That's going to be a really nice function. But keep in mind it's really easy to make mistakes doing that. So if I hit Control C, copy these items over, I could change all these numbers. So I'm going to sanitize this. I want new descriptions. I paste them all back over. It's completely renamed them all. I can hit the undo button. The undo will not just undo one of the pastes, it'll do that whole column, everything you just did. So now I've got my names back. Keep in mind, even though it's quick and easy, be very careful with the data because it is very easy to make a mistake doing that. So selecting multiple columns at one time or multiple rows. Notice if I click and drag, I can select multiple rows. If I click and drag on the columns, I can do multiple columns. So getting data out becomes really easy. I'm going to select one row and then right click. Now when I right click, the reason I don't have to go to the menu bar a lot is you'll notice the most common options are right in this menu. So instead of going to the edit menu for cut task, copy task, paste, it's just right there. Toggle bookmarks is real nice. Most of the options to actually manipulate the activities, insert a task, delete a task, split a task, dissolving, even the task style are right here in this middle section. Demoting a task, we'll get to that in just a second, but it does the work breakdown structure similar to Microsoft Project with promote and demote activities. So it creates a parent-child relationship. You've got your task details next, and then you've got the most common risk functions. Now some of these you may not use through this menu. A lot of these you may end up in the risk menu more than any other menu, but you do have some risk functions down here. And the last two items are for your probability level histogram and your tornado chart. The two common charts that you'll pull. Easiest way to get to it is always right clicking the activity and clicking on either show risk distribution or show drivers. The reason that this is the best way to generally pull this chart is because when you're pulling the chart, you want it normally to pull for a specific activity. So if my report is really trying to justify the end of engineering, or say mechanical completion, I don't care about any maintenance activities or anything else, but tell me, what is my probability of hitting my contractual mechanical completion date, and what is driving my mechanical completion? I may have some maintenance activities or some reports or things that I don't want to muddy up my reports. I would right click on mechanical completion and I would show the risk distribution. Then I would right click on the mechanical completion and then show the drivers, and I would show the logical predecessors leading up to that, because I really want to know what is driving my activity. So right clicking is normally the best way to do that. If I select two activities instead of just one and right click, I get a different set of options. So you'll notice the main things that is different here is you get this linked task and unlinked task. That's something that you might use as well. We'll cover it in a different module, but you can do linking directly from this menu as well. So as I just mentioned, promoting and demoting activities. I've created a couple new activities here at the bottom of the the project. And this works very similar to Microsoft Project. What you're going to do, I'm going to select 3 activities, and I want to make this a parent activity, the one above it. You get a button here, a right arrow and a left arrow for promote and demote activities. So instead of Primavera P6 where it holds the WBS separately, it's more like a file structure, and I put the activities in that hierarchy. Instead, what I'm going to do is demote these activities. And you can see now that that new task has become my summary structure. So if I wanted to create another level, I could demote this again. Keep in mind, it's real easy to get confused doing this, because when I try to promote an activity, maybe it won't do exactly what I wanted to. I'm going to try and promote this, and now it created this is an activity, this is an activity, this is a summary task. I can always use that undo button. So I'm going to click 3 steps backwards, and I'm back where I started. So if for any reason you make a mistake with that summary structure, you can always undo. The summary structure, though, is going to come in directly from Primavera P6, Primavera P3, Open Plan, Microsoft Project. So if you've already created it, you're probably not going to use it in this, but it is important to know that that is how it works. If you go through and start sorting things by your activity codes and what have you, it actually uses your activity codes to do a similar structure like this. So keep in mind, that's how you create these structures. In terms of navigating this now, most schedule tools do have an expand collapse feature. So you'll notice that's kind of towards the top left in these menu bars, expand and collapse. So the double minus is the collapse. I'm going to click on that double plus sign. That's going to expand everything for me. You'll notice in the left-hand column too, there's a spacer column out here, and I've got a minus sign or a plus sign on these. When I double click those, I can expand it directly to that level or contract to that level as well. So now I can do that manually. So once again, the expanding and collapsing, you never really have to leave the Gantt chart view. The next thing we'll go over is bookmarking activities. And the reason you might want to bookmark activities is you can find the same activity over and over. So if you said, well, I'm going to bookmark my reporting milestones real quickly, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to make a report for feasibility and design. If I right click on that activity, I can toggle bookmark, and you'll see it bookmarks it in the left hand side. You'll also notice right here towards the middle, same circular icon. I can click that, and it's going to bookmark that activity. So I'll go down towards the bottom here, final report. We'll bookmark that as well. Now these bookmark options, if I click next bookmark, it's got a down arrow. I can jump from these 3 activities just by pressing a button. Jump up, or I can filter to only show the bookmark task. So if I was going through and I wanted to make reports on these 3 guys now, I could right click and show my risk distribution and my drivers automatically. So real quick to pull out reports. If you create a filter up front, I'm going to run reports on these 3 things. When you've run the risk analysis, right click, show distribution, show drivers. You hit 2 buttons for each one. You export those graphs and you can be pretty much done. So that's where you want to go normally to pull the charts out, even though you do have this reports menu where you've got some extra items as well. The last thing I'll go into is manipulating activities directly in the Gantt chart view. I'm just going to create a new activity real quick, and we'll get a couple activities in here. Do a copy and paste. We'll add a couple new activities. Now the first thing that you can do is hover directly over the middle of an activity, and you see a double white arrow. If I drag, I can create a nudge date here. So it actually created a nudge so I can run scenarios. I can actually remove that nudge date at any point. So if I go to plan and reset, I can save the scenario or I can reset, and it'll remove that nudge date. Now to actually create links or change duration, you can do that directly on the Gantt chart as well. So if I wanted to increase the duration, if I hold directly over the end of that activity where I see a black arrow pointing out, I can drag and I've increased the duration. Now if I go slightly further to the outside of an activity, I'll see an F dash and then a question mark. On the front end, I'll see an S dash question mark. That's to create links. So I can go in and create a link directly in the Gantt chart. So I can hold and drag, and when it says F to S, I let go of the link and I'll snap that out. It'll create the links for me automatically. So there's a lot you can do directly on the Gantt chart that really helps speed things up for you.